2.4 visual presentation. There we go. Beginner participant. So a beginner participant is someone who is new to a sport or has basic skill level of a sport that they're trying out. Or has no knowledge of a sport, which this could be a younger person trying out new sports or somebody my age who is trying out a new sport that literally is doing it for fun or is trying to get competitive in it. 3 cognitive characteristics of a beginner participant. So they normally have really high energy, but with high energy comes they tire really easily, but with a short recovery rate they recover really quickly. Fairness is a real golden rule because if there isn't fairness in a game or training, often those who are left out or don't get as much game time tend to look down on themselves, so fairness is a real golden rule. Process and play out of the feedback given. So if you're giving a beginner participant feedback, you have to assure that it's simple and that they understand it first, because if not, they might not be able to process it or they might not be able to play it out. 3 physical characteristics of a beginner participant. So they normally have no skill knowledge or real basic skill knowledge. So this could be in soccer, whether they know how to kick a football but not properly, or dribbling the ball, they might know how to do like the little skills like that. So normally it's a real low intensity, because if you don't know a sport, you tend to take it real slow and just kind of take it easy. Like, you don't go into a new sport normally, know every rule and know every skill that it has to be, and you're just, that it's real high intensity. Normally they're younger, so normally their age is like 5 to 10 when they're trying out new sports and stuff, or it could be older. But normally people like 20-year-olds, they don't normally tend to start out a new sport. They normally tend to not do sport at all, or they stick to a sport that they know. 3 emotional characteristics of a beginner participant. So they normally get overwhelmed really easily. So this could be whether or not in trainings they're told to do something, but they might not know how to do it. So just all like new information could really overwhelm them. Frustrated easily. So this could be if they're not getting a team drill or a tactic, that they can just get really frustrated and just not want to do it at all. Especially if people around them get it and just not that good. So confidence is a huge part that they lack in a beginner sport. So obviously if they don't know a lot, they're not going to be confident, but as soon as they start getting those basic skills, and then their confidence starts to build, but at the start there's not normally a lot of it. 3 social characteristics of a beginner participant. So normally they get easily distracted, so whether that would be in training, if somebody's trying to teach them something and they're not finding it easy, or if they just something don't want to learn it, like they could be distracted, whether they could be talking to their mates, playing around, or looking at other training sessions. So a low skill level, so normally that they have a very basic skill knowledge of the game, so they could know how to kick the ball in football, as I said, but they might not know how to dribble or dodge, or a netball they might know how to pass the ball, but different types of passes, like one-arm passes, overhead passes, they might not know how to do those. And opinion of your peers are really important. So if you're trying out a new sport and your team members or your mates around, you're like, nah, like you're not good, obviously you're not going to want to do it, so it's really important on what your peers think of you. Needs. So needs of the beginner participant is small goals. So they start like a stepping ladder. They create small goals, which could be for a cricketer to bowl for half an hour every day, or do some stump work, that kind of stuff to eventually build up to their main big goal. And then comfort zone. It's really important that kids know that everybody learns differently and develop differently, so staying in your comfort zone and knowing what you do well is really important. Determination. So determination is a real key part to a beginner in need of a beginner participant, because if they're not determined to develop or do trainings or play games, then it's going to be really hard for them to advance and build as players. Motivation. So motivation is a huge part, whether that's self-motivation or motivation from the people around you, to do trainings, to go to games, to train outside of trainings, just that kind of stuff. Support, because as a beginner participant you need to have support around you, so whether that's your parents on the sideline supporting you, coming to every training, coming to every game, watching you, like it's awesome to have their input, I guess. So characteristics of Shannon, which is an intermediate coach that reflect on her coaching levels. So Shannon gives us responsibility, so whether that would be doing our own warm-ups or all coming together to do a team drill, like she always wants to have trust in us to do something, or if she can't make a game on time, like she'd all give us responsibilities to do. She knows when to be serious and when to have fun, so we'd have like a super serious half of the training session, but then the last bit would be like a bit more fun, but it would still be related to netball. So this kind of, we were never bored, like we always like knew when to be serious and knew when to have fun, which was a really good element of her coaching. So Shannon knew us really well, and she always put in time to get to know us outside of trainings and whatever, so she'd always have like individual meetings with us, which then meant to like coming to game times, if we did something well or we did something wrong, she'd always know how to approach us, which is a really important part of coaching. A role model, so Shannon was a really big role model for us. So she played netball herself, but she was injured at the time, but she was like, just her knowledge and her history of the game, like we just looked up to her so much. Team feedback, so at the end of each game and each training session we'd all get together and talk about what happened, what everybody did well, what we did well as a team, and individually the pros and cons, which is a really important part of growth within a team. We all really got to know each other through this. And lifestyle, so Shannon used to give us tips on recovery stuff, pre-training foods, post-training foods, when to eat, what not to eat, hydration, stretching, like she knew so much about just having a healthy lifestyle. 3 responsibilities that Shannon had for our team, so the big one was time management. She was always there early, setting up trainings, games, she was always there early. It was just a huge part of her, and which showed us that she always wanted to be there and wanted to coach us. Her technical and tactical knowledge, so whether that was on and off the court, like she knew so much about the game, so much about like mentally how people prepare for the games, and like afterwards how to approach people, and even just court trainings and stuff, like she just had so much knowledge for the game, whether that was set plays, yeah, it was just really good. So session planning and development, so she'd always try and start off a training session with a small drill, but it would end up building and it would have such a big meaning by the end of the training, which we had to try figure out. So that was a huge part to Shannon's like responsibility of coaching. That's what she wanted us to do. That was like her responsibility to help us develop. What knowledge would Shannon require to work with her sports team? So with our sports team, we were already a really quite athletic team. We kind of knew what we were doing, but we required more like knowledge that we didn't have. So what she really like put into our team was set plays, whether that was attack set plays, defense set plays, through court set plays. Like it really helped our team grow. Development drills, so she'd always do, as I said, in trainings, we'd start off small with like a basic drill, but it would keep building and building to be this real meaningful drill that related real heavily to netball and the intensity as well. Recovery, so we'd always do lengths of the court after trainings and after games. She'd always tell us what foods to eat after a game, hydration and all that kind of stuff. So position knowledge, so Shannon had a really broad knowledge of the position. So she used to play winged and centre, but she'd also had played goal attack, so she really knew all the positions, which was such a huge part to our team, which she really helped us all develop. It wasn't just a certain area that she knew well, like from the shooting into the keeping in, like she helped us develop all as players. Fitness, as a whole, at the start of the season, we weren't really able to sustain our energy throughout the full 4 quarters, so we always did fitness at all of our trainings, which really showed in our last month of games, because we were always able to sustain our energy through to that last quarter, which really helped us win most of our games. People skills, so Shannon had really awesome people skills. She was always able to approach us. We always felt comfortable to approach her. She was really awesome with the parents, other coaches, umpires. She was just a really easy person to get along with, which is, I feel like it's a real good requirement to have when you're working with a sports team, because it just made it so much easier for us to get along as a team. Yeah.